Hi, my name is Abraham. I'm your big brother in recovery, coming back to you with another educational video. You know, I don't like to use the word motivational loosely because if you motivate an idiot, you just have a motivated idiot. But thank you for coming back to the channel. And for those of my friends, along with myself, who are essential workers working on the front line, a big shout out goes to you because we're putting it all on the line because we realize when we help others, we help ourselves. And for all of those of my friends out there who are trying to keep it safe right now, my prayers go out to you and your family. And my prayer is basically that may the Lord increase both you and your family more and more. And when you get a chance, take a look at Psalms 91. And, you know, the big book says, be quick to see where religious people are right. So, with that being said, you know, again, you know, I hope you enjoyed the last video. I pity the fool because, you know, what we said, the fool has said in their heart that there is no God. And what a sad existence. Who are you to say that there's not? But we pity that person. And prior to that video, we talked about no fear or fear not, because God is not the spirit. He does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound or sober mind. That is what we are all in pursuit of, sobriety. So without further ado, I just want to give you some education that will hopefully translate into some manifestation, but I want to use the information that comes solely out of the big book as opposed to opinionated things coming from me. You know, so one of the things I want to talk to you briefly today about, since there's so much going on, you know, these times are interesting times, these are tumultuous times, and these are some very saddening times. And what we don't want to do is allow our fears to get in the way of our faith. Again, I want to say that, not allow our fears to get in place of our faith, because if we recall, we saw the fear prayer in the big book. And I showed that to you a couple of videos back. If you get a chance, go to it and look at it. But it's on page 68 in case you want to see it. And it is found in the third paragraph, and it talks about what we do is we ask God to remove our fears and direct our attention to what He would have us be. And it says, at once we commence to outgrow fear. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. So I hope everybody is safe. And I just want to talk to you about something really, really quickly, because as Einstein said, out of complexity, get simplicity. So the title of today's video is simply going to be Pick 4. I'm not talking about the lottery game, but I'm talking about 4 things that I decided I wanted to pick that I don't want you to forget while we're going through this challenging times. Obviously, there's a multiplicity of things in here not to forget, because truth is never invented. Truth is always discovered. And when you discover the truth will make you free. Not necessarily set you free, but make you free. Because if I set you free, you can be enslaved. But if I made you free, you will recognize that you can't be anything but free. So, again, talking about truth. Truth is interesting because if and when you tell the truth, you never have to worry about remembering a lie. So, I want to show you 4 things that I came to meditate on this week in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Yes, there are a lot of things, as I forestated. I'm just extracting 4 things. 1, on page 98. Page 98. I like the first paragraph, but midway towards the bottom of that paragraph. Some of us have taken very hard knocks to learn this truth. Job or no job, wife or no wife. We simply do not stop drinking so long as we place dependence on other people ahead of dependence on God. It goes on to say, burn the idea into the consciousness of every man that he can get well, notice recover, regardless of anyone. The only condition is that he trust in God and clean house, and last but not least, help others. First 3 steps, trust God. 4 through 11, clean house. 12, help others. The second thing, or the second truth I want to show you of the Pick 4 is on page 99, the next page over at the bottom. And it coincides with what we just read, because a lot of people can get caught up in relying on people, and they will ultimately be dependent on others and not be solely dependent on God. In other words, you'll get dependent on the resource and overlook the source. Go for the created and not the creator. And it's very noteworthy for us to be mindful of that during these interesting times, because we're not fellowshipping together as human beings as we would want to due to social distancing. And I know we're on the phone lines, but this is a great time. I know I'm utilizing it right now to improve my spiritual condition. Page 99. Remind the last paragraph, the last sentence on the last paragraph on page 99. Remind the prospect that his recovery is not dependent upon people. It is dependent upon his relationship with God. You know, that's powerful, because I get fellowship. I need fellowship too. Fellowship without relationship is a problem. You know, I'm grateful that I have a relationship that can help me appreciate the fellowship, but I didn't want to invert it and got solely dependent on the fellowship and overlooked my relationship, because guess what? What is the number one thing I attempted to recover? I know what I recovered from, but guess what I needed to recover? That was my relationship, because no relationship, no recovery. You remember the ABCs of recovery found on page 60? A, that we were alcoholic and couldn't manage our own lives. That's a short version of step 1. B, that probably no human power could ever relieve our alcoholism. That solely sounds like step 2. And you remember what we said alcoholism, or the definition the big book described alcoholism as on page 44? If you look at it, it says that, let me get there. Look at the last paragraph, well, the first paragraph on the page. It says that if that be the case, you may be suffering from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. So it describes for us solely what alcoholism or addiction is. And it simply says it is an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. That's why step 12 says that having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, mainly because I had to be awakened because I was asleep. Asleep is correlated with ignorant too. I just didn't know I didn't know. But awake simply means now I have the knowledge of the principles, because principles come before personalities merely because the principles are spiritual and they change our personalities, mainly because we realize when we get awakened spiritually that our personality is not us. In other words, our mind no longer controls our spirit. Now that we recovered, we discover that our spirit now can control our mind. The third truth I want to show you is found on page 162. And it starts at the last sentence on the page. Thus we grow, and so can you. There's nothing that we're doing that you can't do. It's replicatable. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Though you be but one man with this book in your hand, we believe and hope it contains all you will need to begin. I'm still making a beginning after 39 and a half years because, as I told you, the more I learn, the less I find out that I know. We know what you are thinking. Why? Been there, done that. You are saying to yourself, I'm jittery and I'm alone. You're not alone. I couldn't do that, but you can. See, remember what Henry Ford said, whether you think you can't or you think you can, guess what? You're right, even though you could be wrong. And you know what my Abrahamism is? My Abrahamism is simply this: can't got killed and couldn't got whooped until he could. So can't isn't even in the vocabulary. I couldn't do that, but you can. You forget that you have just now tapped a source of power, much greater than yourself. That's the purpose of this. To duplicate with such backing what we have accomplished is only a matter of willingness, patience, and labor. Why labor? Faith without works is dead. You know, I can't just keep doing the first three steps like the first three step 1, 2, 3 waltz. You know, I have to do some work, you know. And the last thing I want to point out in the pick 4 is on the bottom of page 64. The last paragraph. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Like Abby told Bill, what's your conception of God? Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge, in other words, to walk with purpose the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. If you read that last paragraph is so inspirational because if you notice, that's the whole 12-step process. So, those 4 things are the things I want you to ponder as we go through this interesting time right now. There is definitely a silver lining. Let's look at and be grateful for what we have as opposed to what we don't have. And let's use this time together to spend more time with the one who has all power. I believe the literature says, may you find him now. Why? Half measures avail us nothing. We stood at the turning point. And I believe that turning point is simply this: either you're going to accept the power or you're not going to accept the power. So for all of those of you who tuned into the channel, thanks again. Stay safe out there. And by all means, go to our website, take a look at some of the books that we've written about addiction. If you can get a look at this, everything about drugs, addiction, and recovery. And notice how thick it is, so it's not dental floss. And also did a sequel, Everything You Need to Know About Opioids, and it is equally as thick. So both of these you can get on our website at Sobriety Society International. And the proceeds from these books, so a portion of the proceeds will be used to try to help people in recovery to stay safe while we're going through these tumultuous times. Look, this is your big brother Abraham telling you thank you. Leave some comments at the bottom. Please click the bell, the like button, and you know what? I'll talk to you soon. I love you, and there's nothing you could do about it. Talk to you.